Hey, New Prospect family. Pastor Drew here, RTB 2021 for Wednesday, May 5th. Thanks for hanging out today, whether you're watching this in the morning or the evening or whenever. Glad you're in with us. Great readings for today. Double dose of Numbers 12 and 13, Psalm 49, Isaiah 2, and Hebrews 10. Really good chapters, all of them really good. Numbers 12 and 13. Numbers 12, you see, folks just don't learn their lesson. They love to complain. And so we have two chapters of a bunch of complainers. It's like they didn't learn their lesson from the previous chapter. In chapter 12, you see Moses' siblings complaining that, one, that God only speaks to Moses, and you also see them complaining that he married an Ethiopian woman. And then in chapter 13 is one of my favorite chapters, not because it's not particularly positive, but the descriptions in the chapter. So God has commanded the people. It just goes to show you that, if God calls you to something, there's always going to be some people that just are going to stand in the way. It doesn't matter. It could be totally God ordained. I'm convinced that Jesus himself could walk into a church, and I'm talking just any church, and command the people to do something. And there's going to be somebody that's going to vote no. There's always the joke. If Jesus brings it up, somebody's going to vote no. So God has commanded the people he commands Moses to send out some scouts into Canaan, and so they go out and they scout the land, and they're gonna. He says send men to scout out the land that I'm giving to the Israelites. God. This is a key point here. God says, I am giving this land to the Israelites. Go out and scout it. That's what do. They send out the scouts, and then what do the scouts come back? They come back and they go, we can't go there. The people are huge. They come back with grape clusters so big, they have to cut them, and they're carrying them on their shoulders. I mean, just massive grapes. It's a land flowing with milk and honey. They're like, yes, this place is amazing. It is. It's beautiful. It's awesome. We can't go. And they're complaining. They're negative. And you see down towards the end of the chapter, in verse 30, it says, Caleb quieted the people, right? We all need a Caleb that can provide good leadership. Quieted the people in the presence of Moses, says, let's go up now and take possession of the land, right? If God told us to do it, we need to obey. But then you've got these other people. It says, we can't attack the people because they're stronger than we are. What a lack of faith. God just said, I'm giving this land to the Israelites. Go scout it out. And these people come back and go, we can't do this. And it says, we can't attack the people. They're stronger than we are. So they gave a negative report to the Israelites. It's like they come back with this plan to just sabotage the whole plan. The land we pass through to explore is one that devours its inhabitants. What scare tactics? Isn't that crazy? They're just playing mind games with the people. It says, it devours its inhabitants. All the people were men of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. To ourselves, listen to this description. In our own eyes, we look like grasshoppers to them. This is how big they seem to them. Just total, just lack of faith, total negativity, and to be honest with you, and I've served in a lot of churches, been in ministry a long time, and I can't tell you how many times we would, just have this vision from the Lord to do something in ministry, to move forward, and there's just always people that just want to tear it down. So I've always prayed, oh man, God, I'd rather God just strike me down and go ahead and just get me out of the picture before I'd be one of those kind of people that are negative and whiny and just down on everything and just crush every plan that anybody comes up with. It's a cool chapter. It's a neat story. And you'll see in chapter 14, it kind of continues a little bit. The whole community breaks out. So we don't want to jump too far ahead, but it all breaks down for a moment. So, every time I read this chapter or this story comes to my mind, I'm always like, God, I would rather, I'd rather you just take me out of the picture than me be somebody that's a speed bump on the highway of your mission. The last thing I want to be is a negative person, a critical person, somebody that when you've clearly asked us to do something that I would would rather, instead of getting my way, I would rather sabotage the whole thing. And sadly, I've seen that in churches, and it's heartbreaking. It is brutal to watch a church that's moving forward and has some momentum just completely grind to a halt because of just some people that didn't want to see that. So my prayer for us, New Prospect family, is that we're not those kind of people. We don't want to be those kind of. We want to be the Calebs. We need God to raise up a bunch of Calebs that are like, let's go out and get this thing done that God's asked us to do. I believe amazing days are ahead of us here at New Prospect. I think the best days are ahead of us. It's going to take a bunch of Calebs. We want a bunch of Calebs that are on board, on fire, ready to go. He interrupts this negative things. He stood in the way. He stood up and spoke out and said, we need to go take this land. This is what God asked us to do. We need to go do it. So my prayer for us, New Prospect, is that God would raise up a bunch of Calebs to go out and get done what God's asking us to get done, and that he would squash that spirit, that critical spirit, that negative spirit, that spirit of fear that might slow us down in pursuing what God is asking us to do in this community and even to the ends of the earth. That's my prayer. That's our challenge. So, my question for you is are you a Caleb, or are you just one of this crowd? What I've learned so far about New Prospect in my time here is we are a very Caleb-heavy church, and it's exciting, and I love it, and that's what it's going to take. So we need more and more Calebs, and so let's pray, let's evaluate, let's ask God, am I a Caleb, or am I a whiny Israelite? We don't want to be one of those. We want to be Calebs. We want to be Calebs and go out and get the mission done. All right? Love you so much, New Prospect family, and can't wait to talk to you tomorrow on RTB 2021. If you need anything, give us a holler at the church office. Bye-bye.